Good evening and welcome to the virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway, the site of tonight's Season 8 SRN finale in the Steel Graphics and Design Series. Your SRN President, Jonathan Byer, with you here this evening to bring you 125 laps of all the racing action. As I mentioned, this is it. This is the last race of the season. We will crown a Season 8 champion tonight. We'll pay out some substantial amount of money. And we might hint at maybe what's coming down SRN future as we get closer to what will be Season 9. So thank you again for joining me here this evening. Lots to talk about throughout the evening. Let's talk about first what's going on the racetrack with what you see in front of you, and that's the 9 drivers who have qualified for this event. Max Service will lead the field to green, last week's winner, and could be presumed as one of the championship favorites, followed closely by second points and second on the grid Kyle Johnson. Bo Brady, David Davis, and Lane Doyle round out the top 5. Dan Park, Robert Richardson, Matthew Cornell, and Joe Ruggles Jr. round out your field of 9 here this evening. Well, like I said, we got 125 laps tonight. That's what these drivers have to work with. They have 3 sets of tires laying in the pit lane to use at their disposal all evening. Max Service will lead us to the green flag. Weather is a very mild Miami day with 79 degrees, little slight northeast wind, but it's clear and slightly humid. So nothing atypical for Homestead. Well, this is the championship race, and for those wondering kind of how this works, it's not shootout style like your favorite NASCAR series are nowadays. It is the chase style where the last 3 races accumulate to total points. Max Service currently leads with 1,095, Kyle Johnson with 1,092. Dan Park with 1,083, Bo Brady with 1,080. That's your top 4. They've kind of separated themselves from the ladder. Remember, bonus points still in play tonight. If you lead a lap, that's a bonus point. Lead the most laps is a bonus point. Set on the polls, 2 bonus points, so Max is already helping himself out a little bit there. Of course, winning the race is 5 bonus points, and that could prove the difference. Well, make sure you like, subscribe, share the stream so you don't miss a second of the action. And here we go, 125 laps, Season 8 finale here on Speed Racing Network from Homestead. Oh, Brady comes around to take the top 2 spots away. He's going to lead lap number 1. Saw a Dover race last week that went flag to flag that saw differing strategies, lots of passing and excitement. I think we're in store for something very similar here this evening. Homestead-Miami definitely plays into longer green flag run style of racing. Definitely always includes a little bit of strategy of high level of tire wear on this racing surface. 125 lap being the length too, it does leave you a little bit of options. So we'll see how these guys choose to play it. Ooh, a little loose there is the 8 of Bo Brady. Bo currently is that 4th place in points. 15 points behind the leader Max Service, so every little bit the 8 can spend out front, the better off it's going to be for him. And we saw this last week too, if you do remember. Bo Brady got out front a little bit, mixed it up, and as the run continued to go on, we saw the drivers of Max Service, Kyle Johnson, Lane Doyle, just begin to save a little bit more and creep up a little bit into the fold, the mix of things, if you will. Battle's a little further back here. Max Service, Lane Doyle, Kyle Johnson, Dan Park, all under a blanket here. This is 2nd through 5th. And all drivers that are somewhat in the championship mix. I think our eyes tonight are going to have to remain on the drivers of the 81 and 88. They've been the class of the last 2 races. So the entirety of the chase to this point, and finished 1-2 in both of those events. I think it's just going to kind of come down to, unless there's something catastrophic with a shorter field, it's going to come down to which of those drivers can finish in front of the other. Max is sporting a 3-point lead and make it 5 coming into the event because of the bonus points he gets for the pole position. But remember, he started on the pole but hadn't led a lap, so there's a bonus point he doesn't have available there. Might not lead the most laps. There's a bonus point available there. We'll find out at the end of the race if he's able to have a clean race with no incident points. There's a point available there. So as we get towards the end of the night, it's going to really help determine who that person's going to be that kind of sticks out and emerges as the championship leader and ultimately brings it home. Most of the time, we've seen the race winner also win the championship. And let's comment in these playoff style formats, even though we've gone to a little bit more of a chase style format this evening or for this season. It's probably going to be kind of what it comes down to, considering it's 2 of the fastest guys from all year, including Kyle Johnson, who came in a little bit later in the season, but has just been strong since he appeared back on the SRN scene. You see the 11 up there, that's David Davis, ripping the top around the track. You kind of see there on the bottom of the screen too, last time by, Lane Doyle doing the same thing. Homestead is a track, gives you, oh, Kyle! The 11 gets into the back of him, into the corner, and what a save for the 88. You saw that right live on your screen. That was almost maybe a championship ending moment for the 88 of Kyle Johnson, but he saves that vehicle and will continue to make circuits here at Homestead. Wow, what a moment that was. We can go back and take a look at it here. We're going to have to go back just a little bit further. This is the previous lap. You see the 11 with some momentum on the top. He's going to stay behind the 88, use that draft, and then on corner entry here. That time might be coming up here in just a little bit. We might have went back just a little too far. But the 11 will get into the back of the 88 here in just a moment. And like I said, that was about a ending moment. I guess we went back really far. We're just recapping a little bit of the action for you of what we've seen to this point. See if we get a better look at it here. There's the end of it. And yeah, what a save for the 88 to keep that vehicle on the right ship. And back live now. He's kind of settled back in behind the 5 of Robert Richardson. No significant damage to either vehicle, it looks like, so we will carry on. Back up front, Bo Brady continues to lead. He has led every lap of this event so far. Has opened up just under a second lead over Lane Doyle, who we've seen running a variety of lines. Right when that contact happened, we were talking about that. This is a track that gives you a lot of options. And the lane right here showing you one of the extreme options, but one of the fastest options. And that's getting right up there near the fence. You see Dan Park a little too high there. He may have gotten a little kiss of it, but there's speed up there. A lot of momentum on corner exit. A little bit of help with the air cushion off that wall to help the vehicle turn a little bit. That line made most famous by drivers like Tyler Reddick and Kyle Larson. We're just able to get right up against that wall and use it to build momentum all around the corner. It's an art form. Hard in the sim, though. It's really hard, especially depending on your visual setup, what you're working with for monitors, and 7 gets a little bit of it right there to kind of see how far away that wall is. And you do see the price you can pay of getting too close. these walls on these virtual racetracks are almost kind of sticky. You get really close to it and they'll kind of suck you in. And you can get stuck to it and lose a lot of time. So maybe lucky it didn't happen to Lane right there, but that's the price you pay of going up there for that speed. You also have the middle part of the racetrack. Lots of lanes available there. You have the very bottom too. You don't see a lot of guys really run that religiously. It is a progressive bank track, so there's a little bit more as you work your way up the racing surface. Nevertheless, we never know what we might see. Championship leader coming into the event and currently still holds that spot by our calculations. Max Service running in the 4th position. Remember last week we talked to him post-race in the interview, and we don't know where to believe him nowadays because he did say that Dover is one of his worst racetracks and he goes out there and wins. But he said Homestead, not that great either, not one of his best tracks, so something to keep an eye on for sure tonight. And there's a great visual of those 2 lines you can run, that really the 2 of almost 6 different lines you can run through the corners here at Homestead to try to find a little grip, try to find a little speed. So a pretty clean, orderly start. Bo Brady opened up that lead a little bit more now, just over a second and a quarter over Lane Doyle. Dan Park settled in 3rd. We're watching Max Service here in 4th. Robert Richardson's that car that kind of splits the difference, and the 2 friendly foes from earlier are sorting it out once again. David Davis and Kyle Johnson. We saw that earlier contact. Luckily, I don't think it's cost either of them too dearly. Looks like Mr. Johnson's going to make that pass quite easily. And the field rounded out by Joe Ruggles and Matthew Cornell. We're going to step aside for just a moment. Give you a chance to hear from our partners here at Speed Racing Network. Back with you here from the virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway. We were just on board with the 11 of David Davis over the break. The field's kind of spanned out. Track map there in the right-hand corner of your screen, up near that Premier Racing Setups logo, who you just saw that message from. That shows you where everybody's at currently. And while we have kind of a second in the action, we're just logging some laps. We're going to leave you with some of these great angles, some of these great sights and sounds in the virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway. Back with you from the virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway, where you've been just listening to the sights and sounds of these NASCAR O'Reilly Series race cars rip around the 1.5 mile progressively banked surface. You've also noted, if you've been watching the track map as well as some of our camera angles, we've had some pit stops. Bo Brady currently, he's exiting the pit lane down there in his number 8 Toyota. We've seen David Davis and Lane Doyle also come down the pit lane for service. That's the only 3 drivers who have currently visited the pit lane for scheduled service. And this is a great look at it right here, the difference between new and old tires. If we do look at the lap times, Lane Doyle obviously caught up in a little traffic this last time, so maybe not a great representation of lap time, but when the guys were running at their best, they were running 34.7s and 34.8s. The guys who are still out on the racetrack right now, 36.9s, 37.5s. So significant 2.5, almost 3 second drop in lap time, new over old tires. And this being a 1.5 mile racetrack in length, you kind of consider that and the differences. I think we'll see how the guys choose to play it. Kyle Johnson's now on pit lane for service, so the first of our championship front runners that we've seen come down. That will give the lead to Max Service, so he'll lead a lap and get a much needed bonus point here in the process. Now, I will say, when you're talking about the division of the race and how you choose to divide that up, that yes, this would be that trimming into third strategy, and that's ultimately the strategy that we saw win last week. Remember, it was Dan Park in the 7 who went for the pit twice, pit once only strategy, and it didn't work out too terribly bad for him as he was able to still finish in second, but or third rather, somewhere in the top 3. I know we talked to him. But it did not pay off for the win as Max Service was able to run him down. So we'll see how that plays out this week, and no shocker, and we got strategy and we got guys running long. The 7 still remains on the racing surface to this time, as well as the 96. Everybody else has come down the pit lane. Max Service, Robert Richardson, Matthew Cornell currently all on the pit lane getting their service. So I guess the question now becomes, how long does Mr. Park choose to stay on the racing surface? Unsure on fuel if you can really do that in a one stop, but if anybody's going to try it, well, we know it's going to be the driver of the number 7 right here. Not afraid to throw some big strategy at it to see what happens. Looks like maybe some trouble for the 22, a little bit of extended pit stop there from our records, but any major issues that vehicle now. No pit road penalties to this point. Everybody has remained, and well, our questions answered rather quickly. Here comes the 7. So no real wrinkles in strategy then is what that's telling us. Everybody's going to kind of play the same gig here, but we'll see how this develops over time. So as this all cycles through, Joe Ruggles still yet to make his pit stop, so he's now the one that's choosing to run a little bit long. We'll see how this develops for him. He'll be the last one to cycle through. Lane Doyle will then be your leader, followed by David Davis, Max Service, Kyle Johnson, Bo Brady, Robert Richardson, Dan Park, and Matthew Cornell. David Davis in the 11, he was the first car down pit road on lap 37. Then it was Lane Doyle on 39. Everybody else after lap 40. 44 for Max Service, 43 for Kyle Johnson. So, those guys are going to have, I mean, it may seem really minor, 1 lap fresher tires, but truly does make the difference sometimes out here on a very aggressive race surface like this. And so we'll see how that pans out for them. Joe Ruggles currently 12 seconds out in the lead, but hasn't made his pit stop yet. So when he cycles through, that'll obviously take him further towards the back. But a lot of race left for Mr. Ruggles. So Mr. Ruggles still pacing out here on the Homestead-Miami Speedway. We'll check in with Lane Doyle, who you see back here. He will be the eventual leader, but we've got to put up a fight with the driver of the 81 rather quickly if he's going to stay in that position. And Max Service with 5 laps fresher tires is probably not going to take him very long to achieve just that. But I kind of like the strategy that Joe in the 96 is playing. Hey, you've been in the back quarter of the field at this point in the race. Has pretty good pace in that 96. Why not try a little strategy? Make a splash maybe at the end of this season. Before watching this, let's just talk a little bit about this being the season finale for Season 8. Yes, 8 seasons of Speed Racing Network have now basically come and gone. The idea is we will have a Season 8 spring season, or Season 9 if you will. Haven't really decided on which route we're going to go as far as names yet. But if you want to be involved in that season from a sponsor standpoint, we're willing to talk. You can reach out to us on our speedracingnetwork.com website, any of our social media channels. We'll talk to you. We'll get you some commercials set up. We'll get your logos on the screen. We'll talk about how we can help your business grow through ours. If you're interested in driving or owning a team or starting a team or being involved in any other capacity, we'd love to speak with you as well. You can reach us at all those same areas. We don't have any official announcements as far as the plan of vehicles and things like that, but we will get there pretty soon. We're watching a 3-way battle now for the lead between the 47, 81, and 96. 96 on those older tires. Remember, he gets passed up. He's going to slide now back through the running order. Doesn't mean Joe's quite done here, though. Remember, playing a longer strategy game here that could pay off in the end. But now this battle up front is for the lead. And Max Service has bested Lane Doyle. And so championship leader coming in is doing championship leadership things. Approaching halfway in this one. Max Service is back out front. Again, had us fooled in his post-race interview when he said Homestead's not a very good track of his. Well, it's making it appear otherwise so far this evening. great onboard shot right there at max surface. You just hear him working that throttle. And from what we've seen, he stayed pretty committed there to the bottom throughout that first run, and so far what we've seen in him in this run as well. So that just tells us that maybe he's erring on the side of a little bit just more tire conservation. And I think that's why we just see him, as this run continues to go on, I mean, he is picking him up and putting him down from the people behind him. We look at last lap speeds. He ran a 36 flat, 36.15, 36.40, 36.19. Those lap times behind him. So, he's just not falling off on lap time as much as the others. And since he pitted on lap 44, we're now working lap 60. This run has kind of got into a place where you do start to have significant tire fall off, and if you're able to manage that, maybe make the good on those tires last just a little bit longer, and you don't fall off as much, you can gain a lot of time. And I think that's just what we're seeing here. Remember, the fall off in this run here on a full tank of fuel, we saw north of 2.5 seconds. And so anytime you can make that delta last a little bit longer as far as the good, it'll pay dividends. And it's just fascinating to ride on board and hear him work that throttle, being committed to that white line. Just fascinating work by one of the best drivers that we've seen here in the SRN field in recent season. Well, we're just about at halfway here, approaching that threshold. And just like last week, to this point, we are caution-free. Joe Ruggles has now hit the pit lane, so that makes us confirm the suspicion of playing that one-stop strategy. Whatever calculator he's got smoking over there in the 96 pit box makes him think that that's a viable option. We'll just see how it plays out for him. Again, we were fascinated by the strategy and the way it worked last week for the 7, and could work out the same way here for the 96. We'll just wait and see. Obviously, in the short run, it's gonna hurt him quite a bit. He's gonna cycle through a lap down here as he rejoins the racing surface, but he'll be on those fresh tires and ready to rock back at him. So we'll pay attention to that. So the battle between the top two has been the battle between the top two for, well, the last couple weeks, it's felt like. That's also the battle for the top two as far as the championship is concerned. And so, no shocker that what we consider probably the two championship favorites, maybe the two best drivers in the field, find themselves in the 1-2 position at the championship race and show up when it counts. That's what makes good drivers great drivers, is when they need to show up and put their best on the racetrack, they do that. And a prime example of that here tonight. But, I mean, through 64 laps of green flag racing action, as we see Max approach on the lap car of Matthew Cornell here in the 22. We still have the top 7 all within 10 seconds of each other, basically the length of a straightaway here at Homestead, even after a round of pit stops. So, lots can still happen, of course, with half the race remaining, but see if anybody can try to gain some time on pit road. And maybe you've kind of made your bed in strategy to this point, I would believe, but if any of those stoppages in play happen to come by, that could change things a little bit. Well, we have a couple more partners that we need to show off so we can pay the bills around here. We will take this opportunity to give you a message from them, and then we'll be commercial free all the way to the end.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back with you here from Homestead. You see leader Max Service pacing the field around to complete lap number 68 of 125 on this championship evening. Talked about the money. That's a big part of what we do here at Speed Racing Network. Kind of makes our league a little unique. We pay out the season-ending payouts quite nicely. First place will take home $140 tonight. Second will take home $100. Third will take home $70. Fourth will take home $50, and fifth will take home $25. That is not including the race winnings, in which the top 2 drivers will earn tonight. That's $15 for first place and $10 for second place. So even if you are one of those that can't sneak out maybe that top 5 points finish, like a Robert Richardson, like a Joe Ruggles, possibly even a Lane Doyle, it gives you options for still making a little bit of cash this evening. Of course, these drivers pay in for every race during the season as well, league style, and so just a little bit of payoff for their riches. But championship payout still is turning a profit. In the 12 race season, these drivers will pay in $120. Season championship will at least make that back plus more in the season-ending payout. But generally, your champion also wins a couple races in the process as well. So there are more winnings built in to that number. But kind of what makes us a little unique here at SRN, and something we definitely want to continue to work on and lean into as we move forward with what is down the pipe. Well, nothing up front has really changed. We've kind of been monitoring the gap for the lead. It's kind of held steady there at just a flip under 2 seconds. A little bit bigger gap than behind Kyle as we get towards Lane, Bo, and Robert. In Mr. Park. Remember Joe Ruggles in the 96 you see here on the bottom. Not an accurate reflection of where he's been running in this race, but he's on that alternate strategy of trying to maybe possibly make it on one stop. And so that currently has him lapping the rears in 9th. But if things shake out his way, maybe he gets a really good pass on the next pit cycle, or something happens during that pit cycle, he might come out on the winning side of that. On the ticker, we'll pop up those last lap times by, just to give you an idea of what's being run, and you can definitely see which drivers at this point in the run, obviously outside of maybe Joe because he pitted more frequently, which of those drivers has saved a little bit more tire and is able to make just a little bit more lap time this late into the run. And obviously the top 2 succeeding in that, and that's why they run 1-2, but even more so Max Service taking advantage of that reality as well. Thoughts are interesting to see, movement throughout the race as far as who's gained positions and who's lost positions. A little bit of movement there around the mid-pack, but other than that, pretty status quo with where we started tonight's event. Again, only with 9 drivers, you're going to have maybe a little bit of movement, but not a ton of movement in the field. Even in the last few weeks, we've had 9, 10, 11 drivers for the races. We've had a really high quality racing action, especially on the back half of this Season 8. All the races are available for replay on Speed Racing Network, all in this playlist that is this current season. So if you missed any of those races and want to go back and watch some thrilling moments, great strategy, fantastic green flag racing throughout those events, definitely a watch if you have some time. At the end of this season, we'll maybe clip a few highlights from some of our favorite moments and publish those separately as well. So if you don't have time to go back and watch all those streams, but you want to see some of the highlights of what's happened through the season. That will be available to you as well. Max Service continuing to do his thing. Kyle Johnson trying everything he can to find a way to maybe run that 81 back down. I know we said that before this season. So we've also seen that reversed. We've seen Max trying to run Kyle down, but as far as tonight's concerned, it's the other way around. Both running very similar lap times right now, as you can see on the scoring monitor. There's just nothing that's going to allow that 88 up to make the gap. Now we got a large gap then back to Mr. Lane Doyle, who runs a third. Also running pretty decent lap times at this point in the run, but kind of just on his own island right now. Remember, he was the first of that kind of leader group to come down pit road on lap 39, and so maybe paying the price a little bit more now of having 4, 5, maybe 6 lap older tires than around him. Bo Brady runs behind him in 4th. He's currently battling with the 5 over that position with Robert Richardson. And then you see the 7 there, that white Toyota of Dan Park, lingering in the shadows. In hopes to maybe get more than one position here if these two can't get it sorted out. But this right here, this is the closest battle on the racetrack. As you see in our track map there, pretty good spread, but just a little clump of vehicles all positioned right here. Battle continues on here for the 4th position. Bo Brady, Robert Richardson haven't really figured out who's going to take that spot yet. The pit cycle has started once again. Bo Brady, first of the takers. He last pitted in the low 40s. So maybe jumping this one just a touch earlier than he did on that last one. And off pit road cleanly, which is the important part of this time in the race. Just don't want any mistakes. So in and off pit road cleanly for the 8, so we'll keep a watchful eye now on what the rest of the field chooses to do. Everybody continuing just to cycle normal laps. We'll pop the gaps back up there for you. Let's see where everybody remains running. I have a feeling we will see these front runners down pit road rather quickly. Sooner rather than later, as you just give up so much time by staying out. And just right on cue, the 88 of Kyle Johnson. A little smoke of the tires on pit entry, but trying to get all the time he can gain there. There's definitely time to be gained in what we consider those extra areas, pit entrance, pit exit, things like that, where if you're running them more aggressively than others, you can gain some time, but there's a risk, right? That risk is speeding on pit entry or speeding on pit exit, or as here on iRacing, the drivers would know, exiting the pits unsafely is a penalty that gets issued as well. Leader Max Service, here he comes down pit road on lap number 83. So Max Service, 4 tires and fuel. Looks like he's going to get on and off pit road without any issues. That turns the lead over to the 47 of Lane Doyle. He will at least stay out another lap, as will the 5 and 7. No more leaders coming this time by. Maybe they're choosing to run this middle portion a little bit longer. With the efforts of having fresher tires towards the end, we'll kind of just keep a watchful eye on that. The Joe Ruggles strategy so far not working out as we would have hoped. Hasn't even been able to cycle back on his lap, but credit given where credit's due for trying something different. Now here comes our current leader, Lane Doyle. He's going to get on pit road pretty smoothly there. Looks like he was carrying a lot of speed in there, but got it woed down. Didn't even lock up the tires. He keeps our road speeding tickets to a minimum. None passed out this evening. None last week as well, through all of the green flag pit stops we had last week. Not a single pit road penalty was issued. Kind of amazing feat there, especially with how difficult the pit lane is to get on and off in Dover. So Robert Richardson now cycles out to the lead in his number 5. Here comes the 5. Great representation of pit road entry there, how on older tires. Not the easiest feat, but very, very, very important. On and off pit road without a hitch. So that'll get us close to cycling through. Only 3 holdouts on the racetrack. The leader here, David Davis, who last pitted on lap 37. He's yet to come get his service. Matthew Cornell in the 22 was last on pit road on lap 44, it shows. But I say we saw him on the pit lane not that long ago. Meanwhile, you just saw it flash by. We were just busy talking about David Davis not pitting yet, and the 88 and 81 flashed by, battling each other. Well, that is going to be the battle for the eventual race lead here. So that was really tight there. We didn't even have that highlighted on our scoring pylons as a battle for position. Must have just been one of those weird blips in technology, but Max Service wins that out right now. We can go back and take a look at this. This is the battle we were having right behind the 11. They come up on the 11, who they're considerably faster than on new tires, and almost like Max knew what was going to happen there and threw a pick on the 88. What a fantastic pass. Back live, Max Service now forwarding that pass out to a 4/10 of a second lead, and I believe no sign of slowing down. The 11 still has to come down pit road. The 22 is going to be in that company as well. We believe the 96 is going to try to run this one through. But the battle for the lead, the battle for the championship, it's right here. It's between these two. Now, there is an event in which we can have a tie. So, if that happens, well, we gotta go to the rule book and see. I haven't even ran through that scenario yet, but if the 88's able to get around the 81 and somehow win this event, it is possible that we could have a tie. The bonus points are awarded to the race winner. You know, you got to think about it. It's at the start of the race, it was a 5-point advantage for Max Service because he had won the pole. 5 bonus points for winning the race, a spot per position. Now, we can also kind of pencil in that Max Service has led the most laps tonight of any driver, leading 42 out of the currently completed 95. So, if the 88 passes him, and as long as both do not have a registered incident point, we could have a tie. So we'll just see how that develops. If Max wins, then all that is for naught. But you always got to be considering all the possible scenarios. The 22 has come down pit lane for service. He's cycled through now. That leaves the 11 of David Davis as the last driver not coming down to complete their pit stops, as far as who we know is on the 2-stop strategy. Obviously the 96 of Joe Ruggles kind of doing a split and half thing like that. Well, the 11 of David Davis is coming down to complete his pit cycle, so since he has done that, we are going to take one more break from the commentary booth to reset ourselves and get ready for the stretch down to the finish, where we're going to crown a champion here in Season 8. Back with you here from the virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway as we approach 16 laps to go in the Season 8 finale here in the Steel Graphics and Designs series here on Speed Racing Network. And you can start feeling the closure of the season. All the last 12 races, what they've amounted to. And for us here at Speed Racing Network as well, every time we close out another season, it's another chapter in the book, and this one being number 8. Just surreal from where things started over 5 years ago to where we are here today, bringing you this racing action, and always, remembering what's been achieved beforehand by the drivers that have been in the leagues before, and the drivers you currently see on the racetrack now, and possibly the drivers in the future. All amount to 15 laps of Season 8. That remain before us this evening. 6 drivers on the lead lap. Max Service, championship leader, coming into the night. If he can hold his over 2-second lead in position over the 88 of Kyle Johnson, it'll be his championship. And one of the more decorated drivers here on Speed Racing Network will add another prong to that successful history he's had. A strong showing of a season for especially the next 3 drivers in Bo Brady, Lane Doyle, Kyle Johnson, in constant competition all year long, giving us great racing action, like I've said, especially in the last handful of weeks. We've just seen some of the best we've seen all season, but maybe arguably some of the best we've seen in the last couple of seasons here on the network. Well, over the holiday season, there's going to be no action here on Speed Racing Network. We're going to take a break to be with our families, as many of the drivers will as well. Many of our league members will be traveling over that time, so just a little bit easier that we keep the iRacing workload light. Maybe give them a chance to have a little bit more fun doing other things on the service, including things like the 24-hour race at Daytona and other iRacing special events that occur this time of year, and maybe some special charity events as well that are always a fascinating spectacle. And then we'll see what comes down the pipe for Speed Racing Network in 2026. Still lots up in the air, lots to be decided on. We will put out that information as soon as it's available to everybody on our website, on our social media channels, and then on this channel as well. Well, Max Service is counting down the laps, and he can almost start doing it on his own 2 hands. He's going to have to wait 2 more laps to do that, but it'll be 11 laps to go now as he crosses the stripe. He's stayed committed to that bottom. He saved some tire. Right now, outside of, well, he is the fastest car on the racetrack at this moment. So, doing Max Service things, we've talked about it all year, and what does that exactly mean? That just means when you give him an ounce, when you give him an opportunity to take advantage, he's going to do just that. And a great display on it tonight. 10 laps to go remain in season number 8. Coming around this time, we will have 6 laps remaining for Max Service in his championship bid here in Season 8. Season finale here at Homestead. Kyle Johnson, who has cut down that lead significantly in the past handful of laps, is unfortunately running out of time. He's found a little something. We've been watching the lap time ticker. Remember, it was 2 and some change. Now down to just over 1.5 seconds, but I just fear with 6 laps to go, the 88, I don't think is going to have enough time. Now, we have a lap car a little bit up ahead in the 22 of Matthew Cornell, but he's very unlikely to be a contributing factor to the result of this race. No real lap time gain there for the 88 that time by, so that might be null and void. We're starting to see now the 81 maybe move up the racetrack a little bit, changing up a little bit of line, trying to find a little something. Small gain there for the 88, but like I said, with 4 laps to go, I just don't think it's going to be enough time. Max Service back to the bottom. We'll continue to monitor that gap. With Max's focus here in the next few laps, just don't make a mistake. Don't give that 88 an opportunity to even throw a Hail Mary of sorts. Try to take advantage of the championship title and the $40 extra that come with it. Well, the gap now stretched back out to just over 1.5 seconds. A lap and a half left for Max Service in his championship bid. The Steel Graphics and Design season number 8. For the last lap, it looks like he's not going to be impeded by any direct lap traffic. And the white flag has been displayed. 1 lap remains here from Homestead. Through turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Driver of the number 81 Park Brothers Racing Toyota Supra rattles it off. Closes with not only a victory but also the championship, Season 8 in Speed Racing Network, Max Service. We will give it just a couple seconds to confirm. We have confirmed it, Max Service, not only your race winner here tonight, but also your Speed Racing Network Season 8 champion. We're going to give it just a second as we see the Park Brothers Racing Team celebrate by doing a Polish victory lap here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. We're going to confirm the rest of the point standing, so bear with us for just a couple minutes and we'll let you continue to watch the celebration on track. Alright, we can confirm final standings of the season. Max Service, your champion. Kyle Johnson will come home second. Dan Park third. Bo Brady fourth. And a tie on the fifth place line between David Davis and Lane Doyle. Robert Richardson will come home seventh. Daniel Bodler eighth. Joe Ruggles ninth. And Troy Techmeyer rounds out your top 10, which concludes the drivers who competed in this season's quote-unquote chase. Well, we're going to make sure we have things set up correctly because we want to listen to these interviews. And let's fire them off, beginning with this season's champion and this race's race winner, Max Service. Congratulations. Talk to us about your evening.
It was pretty good. All things considered, I kind of knew it was going to take a win to at least secure the job. That's what I did at very least. And the poll made my job a lot easier for this one. So yeah, it was fun. It was about as good as Homestead can go for me, I guess.
I've learned one thing in the last 2 weeks, and that's if you say this track is not good for me, I'm just going to go ahead and put some money down on the 81 because your track record of races after you say that are quite good. Talk to us a little bit about your season as a whole. What was fun for you this season? Obviously, you were accompanied by a great team as well, which always makes things more exciting, but just give us a season overview as well.
It was an all right season. Some things went well, some things didn't go well. Pocono comes to mind, maybe. Sorry, Bo. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Despite having a lower car count, everybody raced real competitive. Shout out to Kyle Johnson. He raced hard, but very very clean for the race today, considering it was really a 2-horse race between us. Also, shout out Dan's mom for cheering me on. He didn't want me to do that, but I had to squeeze that in.
Love that. Well, we don't have to talk about next week because we're on a break for a little while here for the holidays. But anybody you want to thank for your efforts this season, efforts tonight, and who's on that car every week?
Shout out Burgarts on the hood, Steel Graphics and Design, series sponsor. You and everybody at Speed Racing Network for putting this all together. shout out to everybody who races this every week, shows up. It made it fun.
All right, well, we'll let you go celebrate your championship. Congratulations on winning a Speed Racing Network championship. That's never an easy feat, and we'll see you next time out.
Yeah, thank you.
There's your Season 8 Steel Graphics Designs champion, Max Service. He also won the race tonight, which is an added bonus. Well, next we'll talk to the guy who was runner-up in this season's championship, runner-up in this race, and he's been runner-up to Max a couple times this season. Mr. Kyle Johnson, congratulations on your second-place season-long effort. Talk to us a little bit about tonight.
Yeah, man, just a little bit short, I guess. In the beginning of the race with the 11, I don't know what happened, but I almost got wrecked. Well, I know what happened. I was trying to save, kind of right with Max. A couple guys were getting aggressive, so I did start second and kind of dropped to fourth or fifth. But I was keeping, Max, in my view, didn't want him to get too far away, and I was just kind of checked up a little early, and the 11 just kind of ran me over. That kind of put me in a little bit of a bind where I had to come back from like seventh or eighth on that first green flag run and kind of wore my tires out. And I kind of felt like I was having to underpit Max every pit stop, and then he would come right behind me and I would gain a little, but then he would have better tires. So, I mean, I gave it everything I had. And, I wish that, even toward the end when he was trying to get by me, I kind of got boxed out with the 11. Same exact car. Kind of wish I could have raced him. I just wanted to race him hard. Maybe he could wear his stuff out a little bit and kind of just see where it goes. But I got boxed out. He got by, and the second that happened, I knew it was over. Kind of late in the race, I kind of started finding a different line. I don't know if he was just backing off, but I felt like I kind of found something late, but it was a little bit too late. So, but not too bad, I guess. But a little bit disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, it was a valiant effort this evening, and we've seen you two go toe-to-toe every week.
Absolutely.
Talk to us a little bit about the season as a whole now that you can kind of reflect on that. I mean, great battles, great racing down the stretch. I mean, from a broadcaster's perspective, the last handful of races, very, very fascinating stuff. Give us your take on the season.
Well, I'll tell you what, these, especially the last few with, I think the last two, the whole race went green. That's pretty different. We, got to maybe work on getting the car count up a little bit, but, that's not going to happen with 30 cars this type of racing. So I'm not complaining too much. I've enjoyed it. I had a little, a couple rough times with a few guys, but, it is what it is. It has been a fun season, man.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch for sure, fun to broadcast. But before we let you go for the final time on Season 8, who do you have to thank for your efforts here week to week and this whole season?
Yeah, teammates, of course, Joe Ruggles, and all the other guys I raced against. And we've kept it pretty clean the last few, so I've enjoyed that. You guys, of course, putting on your broadcasts and everything, and president, everybody helping run the league and everything, and hope that we can get something else going soon. I know at least there's at least 4 of us on the same team that are down to basically run whatever. So whenever that comes up, we're in.
All right, well, we'll keep you guys in mind. We'll let you know what comes down the pipe. Congrats on second place tonight, second place in the points, and we'll see you next time out.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Driver the number 88, Kyle Johnson. He is your second place finisher here tonight. Well, we got a couple guys left to talk to. One of them being driver of the number 47, Mr. Lane Doyle, who came home third tonight. Concludes our podium here at Homestead. Lane, good evening. Talk to us about your evening around the Homestead-Miami Speedway.
Hello. It was a fun one. I always love this track, although my love for it kind of bit me today. We come to this track, and I know I have to rip the high line at least once. It calls to me, like some sort of spirit or ghost, but it definitely cost me in the end. Tire savings a lot bigger than I thought it was, and I think I could have hung out with the top 2 a lot more if I didn't cook my tires the very first run, but I just had too much fun. So I'll take third and a lot more fun than they probably had. Of course, they're also battling for the championship. They're stressed out. So yeah, we'll take it. Congrats on Max and everyone else in the championship tonight. And of course, I believe our team got the championship for the teams, but I'm not too sure about that one.
Yeah, you guys did for sure. Looking at it right now, quite handily if we go by the final total. You guys did so. A great season for your team as a whole. Let's take a second to reflect on the season. You had some great runs in there. Obviously, your team found a lot of success. Always, expect high things out of you guys. Talk a little bit about your reflection on the season in totality.
Oh, I think I had a great season. Definitely a little back from my season last year. But most of the time, I would put myself in a position to do well, and I can't think of doing anything better than that, just putting myself in a position. But I also cost myself a lot of races this year, so need to work on that. It was also mainly pit road, which, it's the part where you have to go slow, which I think is why I'm not used to that. But it was still a phenomenal season. Lots of good races. Of course, got that win at Rockingham. And then racing as a team this year, it was phenomenal. These guys are great, and we showed it. We put together an entire full season of really domination. Max, especially, of course, you're champion this tonight, but he was just lights out, the best out of the team all year. So, and then there's Park. I guess I'll say he did a good job too.
I will say
But
you guys
yeah,
are a good bunch. Always a pleasure to have around. And that does matter, right? A good team that has fun, they're going to race better together, um, for sure. So, who do you have to thank for your efforts every week? We see you out here every week sporting the same scheme, but now run us through that before we let you go.
sadly, of course, Ryobi not an actual sponsor. Man, I wish they were. That'd be a lot of good money. But of course, you guys up here in SRN putting this together gave me a chance to race every week. That's always greatly appreciated. Family sitting on couches out across the state of Texas watching. They support me week in, week out. Um, and of course, my team, we just talked a great deal about. They're great. Uh, so yeah, lots of supportive people. No one company, but it's just a good family around me.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate you week in and week out. We'll see you next time out.
See you then.
Driver the number 47, Mr. Lane Doyle. Might as well take one more interview because he just happens to be sitting there. Driver the number 7, Mr. Dan Park. Dan, good evening. I know maybe it wasn't a factor in the race this evening, but your team brought home the championship. You finish, I believe, third in points when it's all fun and tallied up. So talk to us a little bit about your season.
Well, as a team owner situation, I'm ecstatic because I'm pretty sure we won the team points too.
Oh, yeah.
And having a driver win the championship, I can't complain.
Yep.
And I end up third, which did. So how is this tie happening? Do we have 3 cars in the top 5 or?
Well, I'm looking through that right now. The rule book doesn't help me a ton there, so we might just say, hey,
No.
we're gonna pay out both guys and figure it out later. But
That's
to be
probably
determined.
your best bet, but basically having 3 guys at least tie for the top 5 in points, you can't complain with that with having 3 drivers.
That's right. That is very true. We, overall, a fantastic season. Kind of when I look back on it, great racing here at the end. Lane touched on it just a second ago, but talk to us a little bit about the Park Brothers Racing team. I mean, you guys show up week in and week out, have a great time, great mindsets. Get us into that team room a little bit.
Like, we're all just. The best part is we're all friendly. We all get along with each other. There's no hostility between any of us. So like we can just talk and try to help each other out if it comes down to it, or in this situation, just rooting Max on because he's driving away from us all.
He did that to a couple guys
Past 2
this year.
races, he literally drove away from us.
Yeah, he did. What a fantastic guy to have on your team, though. To to be there and to show up with the kind of speed he has. And I told him when we were talking to him at post race, if he ever says again that he's not very good at a racetrack, I'm going to go down and put some money on Max because inevitably he's going to win that race.
You ain't wrong with that. I'm in the same boat. Like
Yep.
he told me, "Oh, this track's terrible for me." Right. As you drive away from us, win by 2 seconds. Terrible. Does that mean we all are just that much worse?
You never want to think that, but I guess that's always a possibility.
But yeah, it's awesome to see. Having a team like this is you learn so much from them too. Like I've learned a lot from Max these past couple seasons with him spotting for me and then being on the team.
Yeah, you a great individual to learn from. That's for sure.
Yeah, and then with the Monday League coming, being under your team, having me, Max, and Seth, and my brother, it's gonna be a pretty good team. And Lane, all of us joining over there.
Yeah, we're the old JBR brand's coming back out. I'm personally excited about that. Obviously, near and dear to my
you better
heart.
be there to watch those races.
I can make that happen. Let me tell you. But I mean, just thinking back to some of the fun we've had over the years too, right? Of the JBR cars out there and hanging out, and that's what this is about, right? And I know we may not have the driver count that we looked for this season, but we can generally look back and say we had a good time with the drivers that were here, had some fantastic races, and have a good group of guys that they want to know what's next. So that's for me to put my nose to the ground and figure it out.
That's what I keep getting asked. What's next? Oh well.
Yeah. Hey. Well, I'll have answers for you after the holidays.
Me personally, I'd like to see us go back into the trucks because I have a lot of fun driving the trucks. But it is what it is.
Hey, everybody loves the trucks. Allegedly, is what we have found out over the years.
I also race the trucks on Thursday, so I'm a pretty good fan of the trucks.
Yeah, you got your truck fix in at least once a week. Well, we'll see if maybe we can make it twice. So, all right, well. Congrats on the championship, Mr. Team Owner, sir. And then both from a driver's perspective and a team perspective. And we look forward to seeing you next time out.
Appreciate it. I also got to shout out the series sponsor, Michael Steele. Steel Graphics and Design also paints my cars. But having him as a title sponsor is a phenomenal thing to try to get his name out there.
Yeah, does some incredible work.
I really like that.
Yeah, we've seen his hands in on various Park Brothers Racing JBR cars over the years, and I'm sure it won't be the last you see of them. So, yes, absolutely. Shout out to Mr. Michael Steele and his support of us, and then our drivers and teams within the series. Does some fantastic things, and we look to continue that relationship going forward. So, all right, Mr. Park, we'll let you go celebrate with your fellas. We'll join you back down there in a second. We're going to close this show off on YouTube.
Okay, have a good one.
Driver the number 7, Dan Park, also owner of Park Brothers Racing, who brings home the team championship and the drivers championship. Well, that concludes season 8 for Speed Racing Network here. A short little 12-week season with the B-class cars on iRacing. We've had some fantastic battles up and down. Great last couple weeks of just ultimately clean green flag racing, and a battle that ended up crowning Max Service your season 8 champion. He holds the title over Kyle Johnson and Mr. Dan Park, who we just spoke to. Well, on behalf of myself, president of Speed Racing Network, Jonathan Byer, I appreciate each and every one of you that have tuned in every week this season and continue to tune in to all of the broadcasts we have here on Speed Racing Network. We look forward to sharing what's next, but until then, we're going to kind of disappear for the holidays, take a break with our friends and family, allow our drivers to do the same, and in 2026, we'll be back. We'll share some announcements about what we have planned, what's coming down the pipe, maybe some special events. And, of course, if you'd like to join us with any of that, follow us on all of our Speed Racing Network social media outlets and website, and you'll be there for that information. Well, that closes us up on Season 8. Have a blessed rest of 2025, and we'll see you next year. Good night.